I'm starting to sweat a little, like Hudson Bay. Tell me that she's blonde and privileged without telling me she's blonde and privileged. The hardest thing she went through when she was 11 was that she got rejected as a model.
Lauren Petrullo runs Mongoose Media, which is an advertising agency.
What if you could run your business faster, smarter, and make more money just by using AI in the right way? Lauren Petrullo has done exactly that.
You've built this abundant empire for yourself. What's some advice that you'd give for an entrepreneur or anybody who hasn't leaned into marketing at all?
I highly recommend that the first $5,000 of your marketing plan, know that you are setting on fire. But if you're not willing to invest $5,000 to know that that $5,000 is not coming back, you're going to keep playing it safe always. My mom made it possible for women to wear pants in Illinois. Before her, it was illegal. So that was a big deal. But then my dad, he earned a Silver Star and a Purple Heart at his time in war, and he saved over 25 people in his platoon. And so was a legit hero. And so it felt like this moment like, okay, Dad, you've got my back. As of the time of this recording, there's a lot going on with tariffs, and the impact is going to be on jobs and on marketing budgets. There's a huge opportunity. So if you're listening to this, I highly recommend that you...
Lauren Petrullo, everybody.
Hello!
When did you move to Chicago? Were you...
Born and raised there for 20 years, and then I left on a February day. I walked to work. I was working in a video game store, and the snot in my nose froze. So the liquid solidified to ice, and I couldn't breathe in through my nose. So I bought a one-way ticket to LA. I didn't know anyone in LA, never really been to LA. I said, no more.
Frozen snot got you to LA?
Yes. I mean, there was another, there was a guy that I was super into that I couldn't get over. Yeah. And then there was a rumor that was spread about me, but it was just oh, my nose, those things. I was okay, who cares that emotionally I've got the mentality of an 8-year-old, but physically I couldn't breathe in through my nose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it wasn't even an hour later that I had bought a one-way ticket to LA.
Yeah.
To never look back.
Wow.
I was 20 and my friends were so confused.
Yeah.
They're why are you going to LA? I was because it sounds warm.
Wow.
Knew no one, had no idea what to do.
Yeah.
I just picked a city and went.
You went because it was warmer, essentially.
Yeah, I was south. The Mason-Dixon line became a new definition for me.
Right.
If I could go south of that line, I would be warm. And then I moved to Florida, and I've
never looked back.
I've never looked down on the thermostat.
Or you never had frozen snot since.
Yes.
That is the roundabout part.
That's not my experience anymore.
I want to go into your time in Chicago. You were born and bred there, but there was some pretty rough things that you went through. Chicago, West Loop, at the time you said you went to school there. But you were navigating homelessness as a teen. That is, other than frozen snot, obviously. This was predating frozen snot too, right? You're navigating a lot. What was that like? How did you end up on the streets?
My mom lost her husband when I lost my dad. I was 12. I did not realize that my mom was grieving. What I understood was the two brothers I grew up with both had their fathers. We all lived at the house with my mom and our dad. But when our dad died, their father stepped up and they had a parent. When our dad died, my mother lost her partner, so she disappeared as a parent. All of the family that I had related to my dad, Milwaukee, Michigan, North Carolina, when my dad died, they disappeared as family members because he was the glue that connected to them. So in my hormonal preteen stage,
right,
I went from having all the love and support I could possibly have to then overnight it was gone. And then while he was a retired Vietnam vet, we still had Social Security. And so then that income was gone. And so my life had changed really quickly. And in my selfishness, I didn't understand that other people were going through pain. I was just hey, what happened? What happened? And my mom in her grieving found someone else that she got along with that helped her because she didn't sign up to have 3 teenagers. Mm-hmm. She was 45 when she had me. So she's 60 years old. She's whoa, 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 whoa. This isn't what I want. But she found solace in her partner who moved in with us within a year of my father passing. Hormonal, lonely, AKA bitch. You could just you could cut that and just be brat.
Also grieving.
Grieving, yeah, but unaware and oblivious to everything else. So when she brought in her partner, it was not good. I was not great to him. We did not have a good relationship. And it accumulated to the point that 3 days after I turned 18, my mom was like, cool, don't come back here. So because he had moved into the house that my mom and father raised me in, it was like my dad's place. I wasn't safe there to live, not like physically. I wasn't welcomed. So my mom made it abundantly clear I could not stay there. So I was like, cool, it's like January 3rd because my birthday's New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
Classes start in a few days. I have nowhere to go. In the privilege that I had, like I still had health insurance. My mom still paid my cell phone bill. And then I had the car that my brother was supposed to have. Then he got in trouble. Then it became mine. And I just never returned the keys.
Right.
So I had a car. I had a bag. I had some stuff. I stayed in a parking lot a few nights, which wasn't like the end of the world, but like I had friends. So I'd go like sleep there. And then if it was like weird, I had my car, but then I had a friend who let me like live in their basement.
Wow.
For a few months. So that was like a really fortunate opportunity. My mom's friends, in the challenges that we had, further made it difficult for her because she felt abandoned as well by her friends, because her friends like, what's happened? This guy is changing who you are. Your relationship with your kids is not, where's Lauren living? Like, we don't know where she is. And so like my godmother had contacted the family I was staying with, and she met them at least to be like, okay, she's staying here for a little while, at least till she graduates. And then I moved to another place, and it was just like, it was very uncertain. And so while the car made the world of a difference because I had a place to stay, and then I had like really nice friends who like I could crash on their couch, or I could figure it out until I could figure it out. It was still something that I wasn't ready for, because as a senior in high school, then I had 3 jobs and I was playing soccer. I was preparing to go to college, trying to figure it all out.
Yeah.
But I will have to give like kudos where kudos are. Like I went to Whitney Young High School, and my principal, because I had spent one night in the high school parking lot, and she saw me and she was like, why is your stuff there? We had a conversation. She like got me a prom dress. She had like one of her friends had donated a prom dress for me. She helped me get on like a lunch program right away so that I could reduce the number of shifts I was doing at a downtown place. While it was like not a great situation. And like the worst was like, I don't have a great sense of smell to begin with. And so when I didn't have soccer practice, I didn't shower.
Right.
But like at school, I'd have morning practices. So I'd shower at the high school. So I was like, oh, this is so good. Like I've got this on lock, like totally fine. It was a situation that looking back was harder than I realized. But in the moment, I was just so focused on like, so what, now what? What am I going to do? But I didn't have the time to like wallow in it. And then like later, when I see some of the things that have been like impacted, like my weird relationships with showers, my desperate need to unpack anywhere I go, the physical sense of security I have when there's a door that I'm allowed to close, that kind of stuff, like I know comes from it, that I just didn't have the time to unpack because I was desperately trying to figure out
what's next.
How am I going to
survive?
Yeah.
You just shared some pretty powerful stories there. I'm wondering too about, given that you've gone through the experience of homelessness, I guess your perspective of gratitude, is it different? Like I find that the more greater experiences that we have, the more our expectations increase. It's like flying first class for the first time, right? The first time you're in there, you're like, whoa, this is a big seat. I can put my feet up. I can lean back. I get cutlery. Like, but when you fly first class a few times, you get pretty stale to those things. But I do find gratitude is where your expectations are at, right? If I ever fly first class, I'm like, I'm so grateful for this, because I know 3-year-old me would not even like picture being in a seat like this. But I always try to keep my gratitude higher than my expectations. But how have your expectations been since you've gone through so much at such a young age?
For expectations, I think in the pros and cons, where sometimes people have expected me to say thank you, or like to be grateful for these like smaller things. Thinking on it now, I have skipped some obvious thank yous, because the thank yous that I have are like when someone gave me a really big leg up, or like when someone gave me a ride because I didn't have money to afford a bus home, things of that. So like I can say that like I skip some of the like more simpler, obvious things, because I like that being an expectation, because I'm going to do that for someone else. And I'm not going to assume that you do it. So if you do it, okay. If you don't, okay. Like I can't be dependent on those smaller things. And then I would say like the reality I have with money is something I'm overcoming still to this day. Like I remember last year, my husband had said, can we finally slow down? This is the most amount of money we've ever had in the bank account. Things are going really, really well. And I had never been more afraid because I've seen when I didn't have anything. And like, I remember maybe until like 5 years ago, like I would put a tag on my coat hangers when I bought something. I would put the price, and every time I wore it, I would do a dash.
Yeah.
So then I could calculate how much it cost me for the outfit I'm wearing. One therapist had said, I treat money the way a lot of anorexics treat calories. So into that capacity, I'm always grateful for like the Maslow's hierarchy of need things. So I'm so motivated by food that I attended a church for 4 years where they didn't speak English because they fed us afterwards. And it was a Korean church.
You didn't open up with the similarities between a whole house and a church, did you? But would they have understood you? Probably, right?
Yes.
If you do it in Korean, they might have.
Oh my
They would have
gosh.
fed you though.
It would have been, they would have not. It was a very conservative church in Florida.
Right.
But they fed me every single week. And even though like I wasn't Korean, I wasn't dating a Korean, I wasn't trying to date a Korean.
Yeah.
I'd been married and had no kids. I didn't make sense. I fit in 0 boxes for them. I still was fed.
Wow.
So I was so grateful that I continued to go despite being like, this is not my church. They don't really want me here, but they'll take my money. That. So I'll be like beyond grateful when someone pays for a coffee.
Yeah.
When someone takes the time to like give me a drawer, like if I'm staying with them, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'm not as grateful as the place of like, oh, you held the door for me, or like, hey, these smaller things like I should be more grateful. So anyways, that's a long way to say.
You have a standard of behavior that you live by, it sounds like, and that you kind of, I guess, reflect that in other people. Like you're like, I'm going to hold the door open for you. So that's just something I just do. I don't expect you to say thank you. So I'm not going to say thank you to you. That's fair. It's like a standard of behavior that you hold yourself to that you just expect to be standard.
Yeah. I try. Like I'll try to be grateful in those things. But when people get like so extreme, like I've lived in the extremes. I know what bottom is or what my bottom was. Yeah. So then sometimes I'm also like desensitized to another person's experience where it's like, oh my gosh, I can't buy the first class ticket. I need to fly business plus, and that I don't have as much patience for it. I'm happy for them, but I'm like, you're talking to the wrong person.
You're like, come on, really?
Yeah, like there's way worse things in the world. And I'm like, I'm glad that whatever you're going through is 100% valid for you in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to be grateful that you shared that with me and that you opened up in that capacity.
Now that I know what you're not grateful for. So I kind of see that you experiencing rock bottom, your version of rock bottom in homelessness. You say, and it's quite interesting that a therapist said to you that it was you count money like you count calories. What is your relationship with money? Are you in that scarcity mindset, or I must preserve this with all the frugality I have so I can still have it?
So it depends. Two best words in marketing. It depends.
Yeah.
If it's related to my personal finances, I am still like very scared. Like I'm literally flying from here to Washington in a middle seat. And it's a 7.5 hour flight. And I was like, cool. It was like $100 for me personally. Can I afford? Yes, 100%. But I'm still like, personally, I can't do it. But when it comes to the business wise, it doesn't matter, because I've seen that everything I buy in my business is an investment, and I have no scarcity in terms of that capacity. But when it still comes to personally, I admit that I still do. And like, I call myself the garbage disposal friend, because I have friends that have kids or change bodies, and they have all these great clothes that they don't wear anymore because it doesn't fit. So I'm like, gimme, 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 gimme.
Right.
And then sometimes I'll be wearing clothes that don't fit me, but I'm like, hey, it was free. Like, this is great.
Yeah.
I admit that, like, personally wise, it's hard, but it was brought to my attention how that is so not true if anything related to work, because work is my life. Work is what helps me. I'm a single income household.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm supporting my partner. I have 19 people that work for me that supports their entire families.
Yeah.
So I will never worry about money with work because I know every dollar invested comes back.
It's so interesting that you said that, because when I started my business, I had the exact same mentality as you.
No way.
Because business, I'll pay X amount of money. The most money I've ever spent on anything on a coach. But when it came to a coach bag, no. I'm good with my whatever thing on Amazon. Like, because I just thought that's not sensible. Like, it's not a wise investment. And sometimes I still struggle with it. I'm like, do I want to buy a nice thing? Yeah, I can do it. I think I'm better than I was 7-8 years ago, but it's the ROI part that I'm like, what's the ROI on this bag after like 2 uses?
Yeah.
Like, I kind of get into the practicality of it. And it's like that saying, like, a $30 watch tells the same time as a $300 watch. Like, it has the same thing. So I was in that practicality mindset. But I'm wondering, like, you went through these things in Chicago, and now that you've built this abundant empire for yourself and you're supporting 19 people. And I think what people don't understand about entrepreneurship is it is like having children. Like what you said, you're supporting 19 people who are supporting X amount of people underneath them. You've got to make sure things are running, the lights are still on so they can do that. And you're supporting your partner as well. So 21 people you're supporting.
And my dog.
At 22 souls that you're supporting. It is like raising children or having that additional responsibility. Is that sense of responsibility, what does that do for you?
Highs and lows. Yeah. So again, it depends. But at the highs, it's like I feel really proud to the impact that our work is doing for the clients that we get to work with. How I have people that work for me that are in situations that they could have never imagined.
Yeah.
They've been empowered to do jobs that they've been written off from society from being able to do. So that like fills my cup. And when I started my company, I had previously been fired and I didn't want to like update my resume and apply for anything. So I just created a job. And then I thought, I'm going to make this a company so that I can help other people not have to apply for other jobs. So that part is empowering, but then it's also in the low moments, it's exhausting because I will sacrifice myself in any capacity. Like, absolutely, I can sit in the middle of a flight for 7.5 hours where I know that they will not give me the middle seat's owed armrests. They belong to the middle seat person, okay? For sure. I'm happy to do that because I know that if I'm saving them $600 on a ticket, that can cover a week of someone potentially on my team who could not if times are bad. And the pandemic was awful. I didn't lose anyone. I did not fire anyone. I kept everyone on staff. I did have a few people that left though because they wanted to take advantage of not having to work and the funds being available for them.
Yeah.
But I kept everyone through despite us losing 80% of our clients because they were hospitality or nonprofits. Then we had a pivot and we acquired all these e-commerce clients, which was amazing. But then it became the most intense time of our lives because COVID had these inflated numbers. And then the finish line changed because they wanted COVID level success. And so it was like the hardest, most challenging time of abundance and scarcity.
Yeah.
But with it, I was never going to make someone else feel that I let them down in that capacity.
This sense of kind of protection that you have over your team and this sense of, I got your back. Where did you learn that from, given that the experiences that you've shared with me kind of show me the opposite of that experience?
Well, until my dad passed, I've had that much protection. When I was 12, I like attempted suicide. And when my parents understood the gravity of how bad I was being bullied as a grammar school kid, my dad told our whole family, we're moving. We're going to leave the city. We're going to move to a suburb. I'm pulling Lauren out of that school to get her away from those kids. And I didn't realize that my family, without a doubt, had my back.
Yeah.
Another instance of my life, when my mom, she had me at 45. So when she was 47, my younger brother was born. His father called my mom when his girlfriend was at the hospital delivering his son. No one knew she was pregnant. And he said, I need help. We can't raise this child. And my mom, before they hung up the call, had already promised and committed that my mom and my dad would raise my younger brother. So when he was born, he became my brother. So they had their back. Like, I grew up with that, and where that disappeared in my life when my dad passed and when everyone else was grieving, it's always like you want to compensate for your biggest fear, right? So yeah. I saw what getting the whole floor ripped out from me was. And there were other instances where I had put faith in something and it didn't work out for me. So maybe it's just me trying to make sure that no one else has to go through what was my lower bottoms.
Yeah.
And they can experience their own different lower bottoms.
Yeah. It doesn't have to necessarily be yours.
Yeah.
Wow. What you shared about your dad, your mum, she had kids at 45 and 47. Biologically, you at 45.
Biologically, me at 45.
Is she like drinking and like?
When I did the math, I was like, wait a second. Did you not use protection, Mom? Like, what's happening? And she's like, I was 45. No one expected you to come. And then I also learned that my mom and dad like slept together on the first date because I did the math. I was like, oh my gosh. She's like, again, no one expected you to come. And so at this point, I'm just like proud of my mom's sex life. And as someone who's not close to that age, but will be there eventually, I'm like, yes, I keenly anticipate an active, mature sex life. I was their princess.
Okay. So your mom said to you, no one expected you to come.
No.
Did she say that to your dad too? I'm joking.
He was 6'8.5". He never
6'8".
Oh my gosh. He never not had someone coming after him. And so like I found out a few years ago, I have a secret brother in Virginia.
A secret brother in Virginia.
Yeah. My father was married the first time. I have 3 brothers from his first marriage. He was in Vietnam. They were born in Germany. And I guess he had a partner in Vietnam, like another soldier.
Okay.
Her name is Gertrude. And I have a brother somewhere in Virginia. I don't know if he still lives there.
Okay.
But if somehow you find this, hi, I'm Lauren. Yeah. So I found out there was that brother. And my mom told me when she first liked my dad, there was just like a line of women that couldn't wait to date him.
Wow. So your dad was that charismatic and he had that energy of, wow.
Okay.
That's passed down to you. So is that why your marketing is condoms? Like, I'm just curious.
Yeah, because you were saying like, oh, you want to protect people. I'm like, well, my business cards are condoms, like practice safe marketing.
That is so clever. How does that bode with lesbians? Like, I'm just saying, if you came up to me and like, here's a condom, I'm like, so what am I using this? I'm just kidding.
You know, it's demonstrations that you can use for the idiots in your life and your girlfriends that like, please don't make children with this man. Let me please give you this.
Yeah.
But I do tell, because a lot of the guys that I meet are married, older men whose wives don't love that I'm drinking with them at 3 a.m.
Right.
And then they come home from a conference. They're like, hey, look, honey, look at the best business card I got. It's a condom. What? Who gave it to you?
That?
Oh, well, I tell them, be like, remind them it's not used. You came back from Vegas with an unused condom. That says, wives, you're welcome. Not that they would have a chance or whatever, but like that's not even any part of the discussion. But we were talking about the other day of making versions, like an even more X-rated version.
Right.
And then I thought of one like for women, but I definitely should have one for lesbians.
I mean, dental dam isn't sexy. That's apparent. When I got my first lesbian sex kit, it's like, I'm like, what is this? This is a mask that I put on. You know that there was this show where someone wore a mask and I'm like, what is this? I don't know what to use. And it was like a rubber glove. I'm like, it's like COVID flashbacks. Like you wear protective gloves.
I'm thinking of my gynecologist appointment right now. I'm like, oh, that's not sexy.
Not, like, this does not make me want to have sex.
Yeah.
You know, anyway, so don't do dental dams.
Unless I'm like, damn, this could be better marketing.
She's on fire all the time. I don't know how she does it all the time. That's great. Damn, exactly. This could be better marketing. Speaking of marketing, you built yourself this job because you were fired from another one, you said. What was that moment where you knew you wanted to build a different life for yourself? Is it just consequence or were you like, no, really, I didn't really like my other job, so I'm going to do something that I really love and want to create?
I have to give credit where credit was due. Like my husband believed in me and he said, I know this sucks, but I promise you, you're going to be so much better. Like he was the #1 supporter, believed in me more than I ever could have. Client / friend knocked on my door essentially the next day, was like, we're ready. Oh my gosh, please help us.
Yeah.
And then my first hire told me that I'd work for you. You're 100% the type of boss I would want. And I believe that you could do well. Everything your husband is telling you. Yes. So I had the 3 pillars of my life, like the employee, the client, and the partner, all believing me to a point where I thought, well, dang, I can't let them down.
Yeah.
Or my dad or my mom, because like growing up, like my dad was a retired Vietnam vet. My mom was a social worker for the state of Illinois.
Right.
My mom made it possible for women to wear pants in Illinois Before her, it was illegal.
Really?
Yeah. Like, who would know that? But my mom did, because she would have to walk from the train to her office, like -5-degree weather in pantyhose, because women were not legally allowed to wear pants.
Wow.
And it was a big deal. And she like did a pants in kind of thing. Like, so she put her big girl pants on, and like, it was all over the news and stuff. And she fought for it. So that was a big deal. But then my dad, he earned a Silver Star and a Purple Heart at his time in war. And he saved over 25 people in his platoon. And so like was a legit hero. And so it felt like this moment, like, okay, Dad, you've got my back.
Aww.
And rose to the occasion.
How do you process that grief as an adult as opposed to a child? Because I lost my mum 4 years ago. So I grieve her in different ways in the parts that she can't enjoy. But when you got married, did you miss your dad not walking you down the aisle? Like, what are the moments where you miss him, honor him, feel him, all of the above?
Oh, yeah. Well, when I got married, I felt it. When my younger brother got married, I married my younger brother. Aww. As in, I was the officiant. Yeah. But it's way funner to say, like, I married my younger brother this week.
It's a marketing thing to be.
Oh, that was my Facebook status. Just married my younger brother. Couldn't be happier. So, but he put like a chair for him and had his picture there.
Right.
So there was a reserved seat. And I was like so touched and honored by it, and then embarrassed by all the ways I didn't think of it. So the moments, the really highs and the really big lows are the moments that it comes in. I'm like, could I have done this better if I had his guidance, especially when I had challenges with men and like not feeling worthy enough?
Yeah.
Like, I married my first and only boyfriend, which meant that everyone before him never, in my opinion, deemed me worthy enough to be considered girlfriend material.
Right.
And so in those like low moments, I'm like, what would my father have said to me, that father figure? And then in the really high moments where I will always worry that he won't be proud of me, because when he passed, I found a letter in his drawer. It was like if you're reading this, I've passed. So he wrote one to all of us. And the letter essentially said, like, please be nice to your mom. You're a raging hormonal brat. You're better than this. I trust that you can grow into the person you can be. So I wasn't who my dad wanted me to be when he passed.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I will ever be. I mean, I hope so. And like, people in my life are like, oh, don't worry, he'd be proud. But that's always going to be a borderline thing. So that's where it comes in.
That's really interesting. You have that kind of piece of paper, which is kind of like it's like him speaking to you through all dimensions, really, right? In all kinds of your lives. That's so interesting. I'm curious too, Lauren. We were talking about, you have such a natural knack for marketing. Like, it just rolls off your tongue. Even meeting you with the first 5 minutes in the ladies' room, you're like, all these things. I'm like, save this for the podcast. But I want to talk about marketing. Marketing's changed so much, especially with people's attention spans and everything like that. What's your observation of marketing at the moment? Broad question, loaded, I know, but what is marketing now? Tell me.
Marketing is influence for you to spend money in a way that you hadn't originally preconceived on spending your money that way.
No one's ever explained marketing to me like that. The key thing for brands, entrepreneurs to do is to build influence. Where do you begin?
Start with demystifying an assumption. You don't have to be an influencer to be influential. And there are macro, micro, celebrity, and nano influencers. So if you're looking to gain influence and you're saying, where do I start? It's the immediate surrounding. If you're developing a product for moms, go to your local moms group. If you're developing a service for tax professionals, go to the closest tax convention or CPAs that you know, and start to get that consumer feedback until you develop a product that you can then pitch to strangers. Because getting your first 100 customers is the hardest, because the first 40 of them are friends and family, ideally. And then you're like, who are your real friends and family?
Right.
Where I would start is targeted micro influencer communities that help you build your confidence and your product fit and product offer.
Can you give us an example of a multicultural or underrepresented audience you've helped a brand connect with?
Oh, easiest. Yeah. English as a second language individual in the United States.
Right.
Easy money, Spanish-speaking population. Easier money, Portuguese-speaking population in Florida. Because man, oh man, is there money. It's a big component of the United States population. Tens of millions of individuals speak Spanish in this country, many of which that's their first language, maybe their only language. And they're living in the United States, which means they're earning money in US dollars. It means they're paying taxes, ideally in US dollars. It means that they're shopping in US stores. Their social media feeds are probably in Spanish. Their community is predominantly in Spanish. So when they're being advertised to in English, it's obviously an ad because it's everything else in their life is Spanish. So it's easy to swipe left and ignore it.
Yeah.
But when you can have Spanish ads or Portuguese language ads to your market, you stand out by fitting in because they're so written off. They're so ignored. They're just blanketed together. You live here, so this is what you've got. They're still going to purchase. But when you can connect to that audience and say, like, I see you, even at like the good, better, best scenario, good is like, I just have an ad in Spanish. The video is in English, but the copy is in Spanish. They're going to still be like, oh, I noticed I gave more attention to this because it caught me off guard and I'm listening to the story. And then better is like if your ad and the creative is also in Spanish. So then you have like, this is a Spanish ad.
Yeah.
Even though your destination is going to an English-based page and you're fulfilling on English, they're still buying products while living here and probably buying products that are in English, not their first language.
Yeah.
But it's still something we've seen great ROAS on. And then the best is where if you have an entirely integrated Spanish. With emerging technologies like AI, it's something that every small business owner has accessibility to versus before it's what Disney did. And when I was at Disney, I saw what they did to the Portuguese population. I mean, Florida in February is mini Brazil. And they come with money. I'm talking about each head gets off of a plane with an assumed $10,000 they're going to pump into the Florida market. That's available.
Wow.
They're coming expecting to spend that $10,000 per head of an individual that walks off of a plane in Orlando from a Brazil city.
Wow.
So the multilingual individuals, like you can go internationally in your backyard without having to deal with currency changes, without dealing with tax issues of having to pay different places, and without having to change your entire business system. We've had clients that have expanded from the US to Canada. Taxes and legislation issues for specific ingredients collapse that entire expansion. This is something that's like super easy. And I can give a quick statistic of what we had done for a California client.
Yeah.
We did ads in Central California around Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, in Mandarin. Our target CPA, $300. Our ads in Mandarin for the Lunar New Year, $69.
Wow.
So we were relevant at a time and a conversation that was for that community in a language that they were familiar with.
So then they have that connection to your brand. You wouldn't even think about that, but that is so true because I would think about my mother and father when they moved to Australia. Had they start seeing ads in Sinhalese, they'd be like, oh, I know, to go to Coles or that particular brand that you associate with. That is so true. I never thought about it that way. You gave some examples of what you did for a California client. As an entrepreneur, I hear about all these myths in marketing. Like you need to spend this much on Facebook ads.
Oh.
Why do you think this myth persists despite data or real world results? Like talk to me about the myths first and we'll go into why they exist.
One, it's super easy for you to build a business overnight. Two, a myth is that you can treat Facebook like an ATM. I put in $20,000, I make $1 million right back. Another myth would be that once you've got your customer once, you've got your customer for life. That is so not true, especially now. Like it's 2025, we have manufacturers selling direct to the consumer. We saw that with Temu and Shein a bit. Now we're seeing it direct. Like my Instagram feed, and I'm sure many people listening, are filled with different suppliers in China saying, hey, you can furnish your entire house for $10,000. So they're wiping out not just the mom and pops, but the entire middleman business, not even giving Amazon a chance to recoup some of that money. Yeah. So those are the three biggest myths for me. And I think why they stand so strong is because of TikTok rewarding lifestyle entrepreneurs who are showing off someone else's Maserati. Yeah. Or who are giving the illusion that this is easier to start because I did it, which then justifies everyone else because they're not fact checking.
What's some advice that you give an entrepreneur or anybody who hasn't leaned into marketing at all? Like what would be the first step?
The first step is, as of the time of this recording, there's a lot going on with tariffs in the United States. We've got a lot of clients whose cost of goods are increasing significantly so their profit margin is shrinking. significantly so. And the impact is going to be on jobs and on marketing budgets, which means like for me, I have to prepare for that. But for you, the business owner, it's an opportunity. There's going to be less competition in the marketing space because when there's going to be less supply, so people advertising, and the demand won't change because consumers are always going to buy. There's a huge opportunity. So if you're listening to this, like, I highly recommend that you map out a marketing plan. But the second thing I would say is I highly recommend that the first $5,000 of your marketing plan, know that you are setting on fire. Like, you're not going to get anything back from it necessarily. You're going to pay for data. But if you're not willing to invest $5,000 to know that that $5,000 is not coming back, you're going to keep playing it safe always. But if you knew that you burned that first $5,000 to tap into the Spanish-speaking population in Miami, where there are more Cuban millionaires in South Florida than the entire country of Cuba. And individuals that come from wherever in the United States, historically speaking, culturally speaking, Latin Americans spend more than they save. And if they're in a job where they're not in a place of keeping up with the Joneses, whether they're in a dishwasher job, a gardening job, it doesn't matter. They're still consuming. And even so, they're going to leverage the products they buy to signal a different status than what their job is, because they are not their job. They are a person first. And that's a different shift culturally wise. So you can tap into it. So if you're willing to spend that $5,000, imagine that $5,000 and first dollar is unlocking a new revenue stream for you. Wow. So where I would say is like, again, if we go for that starting on the influencer, you want to be influential, doesn't have to be an influencer. You could spend $50 to $100 a day in a very concentrated area on, I'll use Facebook because it's one of the cheapest systems. You can go in, spend $50 to $100 a day for 3 weeks and become a local celebrity.
Wow.
On video view and reach campaigns, where if you're able to put together 5 to 10 different videos that tell your story, tell the history of how you developed this product, the differentiator your product is from others, and more like edutaining, it's a Disney word, educational and entertaining in the same time.
Yeah.
Edutating content within weeks, if not months, if not weeks, you'll become a local celebrity that then you're
trusted.
You're trusted. And when you walk out, you're making sales.
Yeah. Edutainment is something that's booming in podcasting too, because people do want to be entertained and educated at the same time because it's the stimulation part, right?
Yeah.
I love that. With AI now coming into the game, I mean, you mentioned yourself that AI can be a game changer for entrepreneurs. What's a simple, low barrier way an entrepreneur can integrate AI into their marketing workflow?
Oh, there's like 1,000 ways that you could do it simply. Okay, I would say the most impactful way is if you can add an AI assistant, AI chatbot. If you're already running Facebook ads or you already have an organic presence on social media, comments are the most neglected part of marketing right now, in my opinion. People dive into the comments on Reels. Comments are the equivalent of reviews on Amazon. No one ever buys a product without reading a review on Amazon. It's impossible. No one's interacting with your content to make a purchase decision without reviewing your comments on social media. So if you were to leverage AI to do an AI assistant, AI chatbot on your comments in your DMs, we've seen increase of conversions 25% overnight because people are coming to the comments to cement their relationship with your brand, to connect with community. And when they're consuming more content, connecting with your brand, they're more likely to convert. So you can leverage AI to have a personalized conversation with someone that doesn't require a full customer service team working 3 different shifts to always be on. And you can, like, we use a tool called Chatbot Builder. There's other tools like ManyChat, AI, like Meta's Llama has some native ones too, but it's not the easiest place to start, but it's the most immediate impact you can get.
Have you like fully handed over a task or a position to AI in your company yet?
Fully? No, because we have human-inspired creativity enhanced by AI and emerging technology. So for us, AI is a calculator. I started using AI, generative AI in my business in 2021. So like a year and a half before ChatGPT came to the scene. And this was using a tool called Jasper, formerly known as Jarvis. And we were doing blogs, and I generated a website with 100,000 organic visitors a month within 14 months. That's unheard of.
Wow.
And then when we were testing in Spanish, we were ranking on page 1 in 9 days using the Spanish stuff in the United States because they're so deprived of content geared towards them. So that was an easy way to start. And everyone was like, oh my gosh, Gen AI is going to erase the copywriters. I hired 6 full-time people as soon as we got the AI system dialed in. So AI allowed us to hire more and do better quality and then provide a better service. So we don't have anything that's fully automated because there's checks and balances, and we use AI to make someone who's good to be making someone untouchable.
It's interesting that you said that. From my own team, I sometimes find this resistance of AI. They're like, especially if they're freelancers or paid hourly, it's like, oh, this is speeding up what I do. Like, this is going to affect how I eat, which I can completely empathize with. How have you kind of navigated that with your team? Like, how have you I know you hired people after AI kind of gave you the opportunity to, but how have you kind of navigated that with them? Because it is a scary change for some people.
Well, I'm removing low productivity tasks from their plate and empowering them to do high productivity revenue generating items for the team, which directly correlates to their compensation. Right. So if they want to not use AI and use a tool that AI could replace, they're making themselves at risk. But if they leverage AI to enhance their current role, to do above and beyond what anyone else in their sphere is doing, I have to pay you more because I can't lose you because you've made yourself invaluable to me. Yeah. So while technically your output is more, your impact is greater. And while the output is more because you're using AI and what you're physically doing might be technically less, you're moving into a role of strategy versus in a role of execution. Yeah. So I don't agree with that mindset at all.
I kind of agree with it too, because I found with AI too, if you coach it, you have to think about strategy in a way that you didn't think about before. You're like, no. This is a strategy, and then you've got to be connected with that. It is kind of, you're right, empowering people to think differently and also really leverage the skills with AI. So you just told me that you haven't been back home to Orlando for a minute. Okay, so you juggle quite a lot. You got the agency, the podcast, speaking, teaching, flying here, doing this fun stuff with me. How do you stay grounded?
Oh, I'm not. My head is totally in the clouds. What do you mean stay grounded? It's how do I stay awake? Yeah. Because I don't sleep as much. I will say one thing in terms of the grounding, I'm really intentional about, and I learned this when I was at Disney, you can't keep yourself in a bubble. My friends are predominantly very successful and very wealthy. Okay. I'm grateful for what I have and what I've built, but oh man, am I insignificant compared to the large majority of my friends. I don't know how I've always attracted just such successful people in my life, but thanks, Dad. And at Disney, we couldn't be focused on parks and resort because then we would just be a horse moving forward. And then what happens? Universal launched Harry Potter World, which then did 7 times the revenue in 1 year. That took Disney by complete surprise, which meant all that money that was going to go to Disney went to Universal. Yeah. But that created competition, which meant that new Fantasyland happened and Floridians won. But what I knew was to be true then is to move myself out of the bubbles of entrepreneurialism and move myself out of the bubbles of marketing. So every quarter I try to do a new hobby. So I've
current hobby for quarter 2, 2025.
Okay, so it was supposed to be silks, but now that I'm in Chicago for the next 2 months helping my mom and stuff, I'm taking an advanced improv in Chicago where it's a more comedic scene. So I've done improv, I've done stand-up, I've done Chinese classes, I did Korean classes, I did fencing, I did dragon boating, I wrote a book. I choose a different hobby each quarter so I can find a different passion. So it was supposed to be silks and I signed up for the classes in Orlando, but because I'm now in Chicago, I'm just doing improv again, but in a different scene. And what's been great about it is I'm not in a room surrounded by entrepreneurs and marketers. No one knows who I am, so no one's asking me for favors to help them with their marketing plans. Yeah. And I'm meeting people from all different walks of life. And they're passionate about this hobby that I crash into because they've been doing it for so long. And I'm just the tourist.
Talk to me about your stand-up, because I'd love to play this in a clip. This is going to be a great clip. Tell me about what was the comparison you made?
Oh, my stand-up set is called Kinks for Christ. So you've been warned. Right?
There's holy water burning somewhere. I'm listening to this.
Yeah, you're holy shit.
Hope just died. And he's sort of what?
But I'm very open about talking about sex. I find it the most interesting subject. It's how we play as adults. Yeah. Also, dirty jokes are how I get attention. And I know obviously love attention. and I tend to be good at them. Plus, I attend church every week.
Yeah.
Like, I am a good little Christian girl who prays before every meal. And, you know, that doesn't define anything in that capacity. But I say this with when people find out my jokes are dirty and Christ-like, they're confused. But in my set, I had asked you, and I invited anyone in the audience, have you ever realized how similar a church and a whorehouse really are?
The similarities were uncanny. Please tell the audience how they're similar.
Well, both have mood lighting that's been set in the room, right? Like you've got rose-colored stained glass windows and drapes over. So it's definitely mood lighting as soon as you walk in, without a doubt.
Yeah.
You've got wine in abundance, even at 8 a.m. There's a tip jar being passed around.
Yeah.
The acoustics are women crying out for God. You also have women bosses, heck yeah, like femme bosses in charge.
Yeah.
These matron older women in charge of a bunch of younger women demanding that they're on their knees every single day. Both places need rape insurance.
I did not know that about churches. I'm like, yeah, that is something I learned from you.
You're
I'm
so
like,
close to Boston, though.
I watched that documentary. I'm like, oh, I should have known. Sorry, continue.
It's like between rape insurance and this obsession with beads.
Yeah.
Both of those locations have them conveniently available at the gift shop. But like the worst thing I think that was like, where else in the world are you at where there's an old man asking a younger woman to open her mouth, stick out her tongue so that he can put a body part in there for her to swallow.
And that, my friends, is why they're similar. I love that you take risks. I love that you kind of go out there and like, I'm going to go try this for this quarter, or this is kind of the hobby I want to do. Do you find it overwhelming at all?
I think I trick myself into not being able to consider it overwhelming because I shift. It's like I have a severance happening. Right. I get to disconnect from work, Lauren, which I think is the best gift I've ever given myself with the hobbies, because when you're in marketing, and I'm sure this is true for everyone's an entrepreneur, everything is an ad. You can't see a billboard without dissecting it. Yeah. Why was this impactful? Yeah. You can't look at brands people are wearing, like what motivated you to become a walking advertisement for a company you just gave $2,000 to be a billboard in New York City for. It's hard to turn that brain off. So in that like severance moment of the hobbies, it allows me to have a recovery. But in terms of like balancing all of that and jumping into new situations, because I'm constantly learning, I'm constantly challenging myself. And the more I challenge myself, when I win, those highs, those moments reward everything. So even if I didn't have a good night's sleep, even if I was tired or feeling the experience of stress, all of that gets wiped clean. It's like reshuffling that drawing board.
Yeah.
So I find it like is a way to like trick myself into having more time in my day because I'm doing more with less.
What are you excited about? You're spending 2 months in Chicago with your mum. I'm thinking you're excited about that, but
it's a recovery relationship. She was the one who kicked me out of the house. So I'm in the house that I was not welcomed in. And we've had some things of like, I need to make sure that I feel safe here, because if I'm working, I will not sacrifice anything for work, because if my work is affected, my team is affected.
Yeah.
Personally, like I'll suck it up. So like there's pros and cons.
Yeah.
She's 80, so there's some things that she really does need help with.
Yeah.
So I'm seeing it as an opportunity and a privilege, or at least reminding myself every single moment I don't see it as that.
You mentioned that you are the shortest person in your family. Your dad was 6'8"
and a half.
Wow. He'd be a great power forward for an NBA team. So when and your husband's 6'4". Mm-hmm. So when you have kids, you want them to potentially be an athlete and potentially a basketballer.
Look, I know you're not supposed to have expectations, but like, assuming it's going to hurt, the expectations are there. I was born and raised Catholic. Guilt is in my ecosystem. Like, absolutely. But I grew up playing sports. I played Division I soccer. I have a lot of friends that are professional athletes. That's what I thought I was going to be in my life at one time. Like, I was competing for Junior Olympics with swimming. I placed second in a world competition for figure skating. That's what I knew to be true, hence why I'm so competitive. So sorry, future children.
I'm curious too. You talked about Disney a lot. I think Disney as a brand is just genius because its relationship with Magic, a whole NBA team is named Magic because of Disney.
Yeah.
But also like I work on a travel podcast, and we were looking at data of people's like what people search for.
Yeah.
And the Disney episode we did is always, every year, even though it was done X amount of years ago, is always in the top 3 searches. As a marketer, what do you think about Disney?
Okay, well, as someone who was technically 4 murders away from being CEO of Disney.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
You're like, what?
Yeah, I know. Wow.
Scott Cunningham was the SVP of marketing, who was my boss's boss. My boss, Duncan, was the VP of creativity and imagination.
Yeah.
So I thought like, oh, it was only 3 murders and then 1 flash because Scott was like 90 years old. Right. But in terms of marketing, what do you think Disney sells?
Well, it sells like a belief in something beyond reality. I don't know.
It's not tangible.
Yeah, it's not tangible. Absolutely, yeah.
Their biggest, like what they're really selling is memories, creating memories.
Yeah.
So like some really powerful campaigns, if you're going after dads who are usually not involved in the vacation planning.
Yeah.
And they have a child who's 10 and under.
Yeah.
The ad that will crush every single time is when you remind them that your daughter holding your hand means so much to you, but there's only so much longer before they're going to let your hand go. And you hit them where it hurts.
Me, I'm not even a dad. I'm like,
and then you show them like, dad, grabbing your hand, taking you to Disney. Every dad who's like losing that touch, that moment with their daughter is swiping the card without the mom even having to approve the vacation. So what they're really great about is not selling anything tangible, but selling something experiential.
Yeah.
They're selling the opportunity to create memories, and memories connects to legacy. And legacy expands past your own current lifetime. Their stories are in their parks. Their parks are then expanded into hotels. The hotels are not even where the parks are. You want to be in this magical bubble. Where I think Disney does it really, really well is their consistency to deliver quality storytelling, which is something AI isn't doing very well most of the time, especially when abandoned. Yeah. When led by humans, it can be more impactful. But they've been consistent about telling a good story. You may disagree with like some other use cases, but generally speaking, they're very good storytellers. And when you're telling a story, the longer you have someone's attention, the more content they're consuming, the higher they're likely to convert. So what they just did is they productized their storytelling with very expensive price tags that made them ahead of any other type of competition.
And they're smart too in their content platform, how they brought out Marvel and...
Yeah, so their IP expansion, that was led a lot by like Bob Iger, which is a really strong move. So it's funny because like Kill Bill was also owned by the same company that did Princess and the Frog. So the expansion of the library, they were ahead of the curve in understanding streaming to be where it is now. Like even when Hulu went online, when Disney Plus came online, like I used to work for Disney. I don't work for Disney anymore because something people didn't know is that ESPN contributed like 44% of the Parks and Resorts marketing budget, and I was on the marketing team. I was on the in-house idea agency. And so my job didn't exist anymore. My boss at 29 and a half years got walked. There was like a bloodbath on the floor.
Right.
So they're really smart about the storytelling to the consumer. It's just that, like with everything with corporate, it's hard when you work for your hero and you see that, oh, you're a cog, or like how slow things move.
Yeah.
But they're intentional about their storytelling, which if you want to survive in 2025 and you can't compete on convenience and price because it's a race to the bottom, especially when you're competing against manufacturers or, Gen Z are the least loyal customers ever. Gen Alpha will not tolerate your ad. It has to be like sponsored ads. It has to be integrated ads or it won't work for Gen Alpha, which is the 16 to 17-year-old that are about to have the most amount of discretionary money because you have 17-year-old millionaires with YouTube channels. But if you can do powerful storytelling, you can capture their attention, you can confirm their loyalty. So that's what they do the best at.
Lauren, tell me what's coming up for Mongoose Media, because it seems like you mentioned that with the tariffs coming up, marketing budgets are going to get impacted. What are you navigating with your media company this year?
We have clients that are like in real situations. Their Canadian vendors aren't purchasing right now. Product is being sent back. Ingredients that come from outside the United States are now more expensive. So they're shrinking budget. So what I'm coming up with, or like what I'm dealing with, is will they sustain through the economic uncertainty? Opportunistic, like I think it could be another pandemic era, which is why e-commerce brands are so good, and that finish line had changed because so many people left. So many businesses closed up, disappeared, and didn't stay to fight the good fight. Mm-hmm. We're really lucky that we work mostly with like medium to large size enterprise businesses that have funds to float them through and have been in business for more than 15 years, because businesses that haven't seen or weathered through a storm like this may not be prepared. So what comes up for us is like, how do we facilitate that for our clients? How do we reduce the burden to their bottom line? What can we offer in terms of more efficient services that we leverage with AI? What can we provide to them that is more creative, more sticky, so that we can interrupt people's news feeds in an edutaining type of way?
Yeah.
So that's just like, how do we make sure that we are on top of our stuff? Because while last year was great, it can be considered like a chill year.
Yeah.
Because after the pandemic, it was like 2 years where it was exhausting. Then last year, honestly, was like, we can finally take a reprieve.
Yeah.
That's
Which is
great.
why travel was at its highest ever in America.
Oh, man, it was
Yeah.
great. And then it's like, okay, game day is back. That was your recovery day. Time to roll up the sleeves.
Yeah.
The other thing that's really coming up with me, though, is I don't know if my job will exist in 5 years. Travel agents, bookkeepers, software engineers, those are super obvious and going to be gone within a year at large. But marketing itself, as these platforms try to use AI to make it so the business owner just has to click a button and then they can treat these providers like ATMs. Where does my company fit in? How are people going to move in-house or reduce their spends and leverage AI more? Just as like we had talked about earlier with employees not wanting to do AI because they're fearful that it's going to impact their job and their income.
Livelihood. Yeah.
I have to make sure that we are building systems and services that will be enhanced by AI and will be light years ahead, so that we're an invaluable resource because no one else is paying attention as much to it as we are.
That's a really interesting answer too, because I was watching a video that was predicting like in 5 years' time, there's just going to be this one solopreneur with all of these AI apps running the entire company. And in my mind is like, well, that's great for you. Well done, buddy. But like, who are you going to employ? Like, how is that economic cycle fit into that? Like if we had all these big companies, just solopreneurs, AI running the whole ship, a little scary for me. I'm like, how do they make money? How does this billionaire make their money? Like with the one tool that they have?
Consumers are going to have to vote with their wallet. Do they want to support solopreneur businesses? And I think it's going to be an interesting pendulum switch where experiential brick and mortars, I think, are going to have a huge comeback. We know with pandemic, brick and mortars closed. Yeah. Why am I paying for rent? You can buy online anyways. But we see the Nutella experience in Chicago, the Harry Potter store in Chicago, like those experiential stores are gangbusters. Why? Because they're telling a good story, which is what Disney does really well.
And that's why Disney is going to outlast everything. What you said, AI can't storytell without humans being behind it.
For
now, who knows? Building a good brand, building that trust, like what you said, the consumer making their decision with their wallet. Mm-hmm. If they have that trusted brand, if they have that trusted person, that's what they're likely to go. That's why it's so important.
I think like right now we're in a time where consumers care more about everything they purchase. They're the most informed consumer population ever. People are reading ingredients on supplement bottles more than ever before. Gen Z has done this really well, where they're voting financially with their wallet most of the time, except for when they're in the race to the bottom and have no loyalty. But there's this really interesting movement that's coming out where brands can celebrate inconsistencies, radical inconsistencies. Like we're going to move away from the 1950s where every bottle of Tropicana tastes the exact same to a place where consumers want to connect with the brands and experience radical inconsistency because the grapes pulled from this vine and the soil that it comes from is going to taste differently than grapes pulled from this vine and the soil. Or the product that I built has flexibility to be personalized to me and represent my style and my interests. So I think there's going to be a pendulum swing for the demand for experiential store and shopping items, and then the demand for radical inconsistencies. Whereas there's that solopreneur, for the most part of them, they're going to be driving focused on being consistent.
Yeah.
Because it's all robotic.
Lauren, I feel like I've had a marketing masterclass and also like a life masterclass from you on tattoos, marketing, condoms. Thank you for explaining how condoms are used. That's the biggest takeaway from this interview. And I'm joking.
But Jenny learned how to use a condom.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Lauren Petrillo. But Lauren, really, thank you so much for spending time with me. It's been a joy to spend time with you and to get to know your story and just learn about how much of a powerhouse you are about marketing. She never stops. It keeps going. Like really, it really keeps going. So thank you so much for your time.
You're so welcome. I'm so glad I got to come here and be in person. You're amazing. Your team's amazing.
That too.
And this was so much fun.